Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Luana. I'm posting weekly videos, and before we start, let's just give you a second to subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any of my videos. Today we're gonna talk about color correcting and concealer. As you probably know, if you've been following me, the last video I made was about foundation, how to apply foundation, all types of foundations, so on and so forth. Today I decided to do color correcting and concealer. The reason I just put them two together in the same video is because, in my opinion, they work together. They do similar things, and I think it is really important to mention a bit the difference between them two. Because you probably think color correcting and concealer are the same things. You probably think you can use the concealer to color correct, so on and so forth. So I'm here to just explain to you how they work. So let's get started. So what is color correcting? Basically, your face, your skin tone on your face, if you look in the mirror right now, you're gonna see it's not the color of your skin tone, the color of your face is not even. You don't have just one color and that's it. You probably have a bit of darkness under your eyes, dark circles. More people have more than others. You probably have some spots like this one that they go red. You probably have some veins on your eyelids that you can see. God knows what happened, and maybe you have a bruise or something. So for those kind of things, you need color correcting in your life to make sure you cancel those tones, and then once you apply the foundation, those tones can't be seen under the foundation, if it makes sense. So for this kind of problems, you need something like this. This is a color correcting palette by NYX. You can also buy every color individually from NYX or some other brands. You can find cheaper ones, you can find more expensive ones. This one was £11. And I think it's really good. It's a cream one. So why we're having, because as you can tell, we have green, we have yellow, purple, some peachy, and some two other colors here. Why do we have all these colors? So basically, I'm gonna put the color wheel here, and you can see with color correcting, basically you're canceling a color that you have in your face. So for red, the color that cancels red is the color that's opposite on the color wheel, which is green. For yellow, you're cancelling blue and purplish undertones. So that's why we have the color wheel. Everything works like that. The opposite color cancels the other one, if it makes sense. I'm trying to explain this as good as I can, basically. As I said before, I'm not a professional. I'm just here to tell you, teach you what I know, what I've learned along the years. Okay, so before I start applying the color correcting on my face and showing you how it works on me, I'm gonna give you some tips about color correcting. So first, make sure you don't apply too much. The more you apply, the harder it is to blend, and the more you risk to see it under your foundation. Just make sure you apply a light layer, you blend it really well, and you're good to go. After the foundation, of course. I mean, you can go outside with some green on your face and some peach and some yellow and purple. Who cares? Another advice is go for a correcting product that matches your skin tone. So make sure you choose a palette or a product that matches your skin tone. If you have a light complexion, go with a product for a light complexion. If you have more like a darker skin, go with something that was made for your skin tone. And my third tip, which is more like an opinion and advice, you've probably seen a lot of those videos that show you how to correct your under eyes, and they use lipstick, for example, or they want to correct a spot on your face and they use green eyeshadow or something like that. My advice is avoid that. do it only if, let's say, you find yourself in a situation, in a scenario where you don't have the correcting product and you really need something, and the only thing you have is a red lipstick. You're gonna use it and conceal I don't know, your under eyes with like a peachy undertone lipstick. But in my opinion, avoid it. One, because the lipstick was formulated for the lips, not for your under eyes. The eyeshadow was formulated for your eyelid, not for your face. Okay, so for this portion, I'm actually gonna... Okay, so now that I have it closer, you can see properly what I'm doing. I'm gonna start using the palette and I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna place and why I'm gonna place those colors there. I'm just gonna use my fingers to blend it because it's a really creamy product, so I don't use a brush, but you can easily take more like a denser eyeshadow brush and use it to apply the product. So first, we're gonna go with the green. So I'm gonna take the green on my finger and I'm gonna apply it on this spot here and this one. And I'm just gonna lightly apply it there. Now I'm gonna take the yellow. What yellow does, yellow cancels the purpley bluish tones. And as you can tell, I hope you can see on the camera, you can see my veins right here, and you can see the veins on my eyelid. So I'm gonna take the yellow and I'm gonna apply it there. Then I'm gonna take the peachy color again on my finger and I'm gonna go under my eyes where I have a bit of a darkness because sleeping during lockdown is really hard. So now that I did this and I have this on my face, I'm gonna quickly go apply foundation. I'm gonna come back to show you that you won't be able to see any green, any peach, any yellow on my... Okay, so my foundation is on now. As you can tell, you can't see any green, yellow or some weird colors on my face. That's because I color corrected properly and I used the correct product. So now I'm done with that part. I'm just gonna keep talking about concealers and I'm gonna go a bit more into detail with this one. So yeah, let's... If you watched my last video about foundations, you know I told you there's a million types of foundations. So same thing goes for concealer. There's not as much as foundations, but there's still different products. Unfortunately, I just have two types to show you because that's all I use, so there was no point for me to buy something I would never use. So first you have the stick concealer. There's a concealer that looks like a lipstick most of the times. They have a really thick consistency, they tend to dry really matte, and the coverage is most likely medium to full coverage. Then you have something like this, which is a cream concealer. This is, half of it is a contour powder, so just ignore it, just pretend it's this one. So you have something like this. This is the creamy one. You usually find it in a palette like this with a contour powder, or you can find it individually. I'm pretty sure you can find it individually as well. Now that I applied this, I can already tell you again, it's not that easy to blend, so usually I use my finger because it warms the product and it makes it easier to blend. The coverage is medium, I would say, but I think you can build it up. With these kind of products, make sure you're really careful when you're building it up, because if you want to go to a fuller coverage, it can look cakey because again it's a thicker consistency. You have the liquid concealers, so you have something like this. They look like this. This one is a matte one, this one is a hydrating one. The applicator inside, it looks like a lipstick applicator, but bigger of course. You can find some with smaller applicators, obviously. The coverage of these ones, it depends on the brand you're choosing, it depends on the type of product it is. You can go from like light coverage to medium to full coverage. The ones I have here, I would call this a medium coverage, and this one medium to more like a full coverage. This is the Revolution Makeup Conceal and Define, and this one is e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo concealer with a matte finish. Again, liquid concealers come in a tube looking like a pen basically, and they have a brush. Those concealers, in my opinion, are more for like highlighting the face than concealing and covering. They have more like a light coverage. Now I'm going to show you how to apply concealer, where to apply it, how to apply it correctly, how to blend it, how to make sure you don't have under eyes too bright. And yeah, I'm gonna go with the e.l.f. I'm gonna need my sponge because that's my favorite way to apply concealer. But again, you can use your fingers, especially with something like this. You can use a brush, or you can use a sponge, just like I'm gonna do. Don't do just this. Make sure you go down a bit. Now, you can choose to do the triangle thing that everyone does. I don't do this often, I don't know, it's not my thing, but you can do just this, go down a bit, and from here start blending. Literally, the reason I choose to do this is because I think I need more coverage right here where I apply the product first, and then I'm gonna blend it like this and I'm gonna go down. I don't use this technique with a triangle, but again, it's a correct technique, you can do it as long as it works for you. I just don't do it because I think it applies too much product, and with something like the e.l.f. product I wouldn't apply too much. But I did it today to show you. When you blend it, no matter if you're using the sponge, no matter if you're using a brush or your fingers, always do this dabbing motion. Never just like do this, because all you do by doing that is remove the foundation under. The reason I go on my eyelids with the concealer as well is because I apply it as a primer for my eyeshadow. So because I applied it going down, I didn't keep it just under the eyes, it blended really nicely with the foundation. It doesn't look like I have just like, you know, I'm really bright here and then I just go like my normal foundation color. One other tip, you can use concealer to define your eyebrows. I think I kind of did that while I applied it as a primer for my eyeshadow, but you can go like this with a brush, not a sponge. I just did it to show you because I don't like to carve my eyebrows with concealer anymore. I used to do that, but I just don't do it anymore. And that's the application. Again, it doesn't look weird, it brightened my under eyes a lot, as you can tell, and now my face has a bit of a definition. If you remember in the foundation video, I told you that you can just apply foundation and go outside. No one is gonna have a problem with that, as long as you feel comfortable and that's the way you do things, just do it. But now you can see why people go with concealer. They choose to do that as well, because it gives your face a definition. You're not just like one color all over. Okay, so now that I applied it under my eyes and I have the definition I was talking about, let's add more definition. So how do you do that? Basically, you start brightening the center of your face with the concealer. You go on your chin, you go on the bridge of your nose, and in the middle of your forehead. I think I applied too much on my nose, but once again, I'm gonna blend it carefully. Okay, so now you can see my whole face. Again, I applied even more definition in the center of my face, and I think it looks really good. Okay, now another important thing about concealer is how to avoid creasing. Obviously, you have more ways to avoid creasing. The reason it creases and increases really quickly is because the main part of our face where we apply it is under the eyes and the eyelids, and that's where your skin is really thin and it tends to crease because under your eyes you already have the creases anyway, so the product goes in there. So the first way to avoid it is by priming your eyelids and priming under your eyes. Of course, I didn't do that, it's just something I don't do, but it works. Apply primer before applying the concealer, before applying the foundation, and you see the creasing is gonna be less. again, these techniques, you don't do just one. Don't just like apply primer and it's not gonna crease. Do this, do that, just this, just that. No, they work together. So every single tip I'm telling you now, you can use together. So after the primer, just go with the concealer. But don't apply too much. Apply a tiny bit, blend it. If you want to have more coverage, apply a bit more. If you go with a ton of concealer under your eyes from the first time, it's gonna be hard to blend, it's gonna crease even more, and it's not gonna look good. Something to avoid creasing is again your skincare routine. Make sure you hydrate, make sure you use under eye cream, make sure you wash your face, make sure you drink a lot of water, but that's for the whole face. It's not just for the concealer, it's for the foundation to look good, it's for the concealer to look good, it's for everything to look good on your face. Make sure you have a good skincare routine, make sure you take care of your skin from the inside. Make sure you have a good diet, so on and so forth. So now I'm just gonna set this, and one more tip before I go, before I set this and I'm all ready. Before you apply powder to set the concealer, make sure you remove the creases, because if you apply the powder over the creases, that's it. You're basically setting the creases. Okay, so now I can actually go because everything is done. I just set the concealer. I think it looks good. I hope this video was helpful, and I'm really sorry for the annoying noise that my laptop is making and for the light, because it's really weird and it's really hard to work with natural light these days. But I'd rather have a video like this than not have a video, if it makes sense. So once again, and my camera is dying as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week with another video. And if you can guess what the next video is, you're gonna make me feel very proud. Bye.